Hello everybody, welcome back again to my channel. Today it is a video on the A500 Mini. This will not surprise you, but it's the 10 games I've added most recently to my A500 Mini. I've been adding a few games that I haven't actually played before and I've been enjoying playing them. There's actually one game on this list I have played before, but I hadn't for some reason added it. I don't quite know why, so I thought this one will make the list. The rest of them on here are games I'd never actually played and thought, why not give them a go? And they've turned out to be very good games. I've enjoyed playing them, so I thought I'd share that with you guys. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about the game I have played before, and that is TV Sports Baseball. And I love this game. I forgot all about adding it. I don't know why, a bit of an oversight. I think I get blinded with the TV sports games because I love TV sports football and basketball so much. And as you know, I've already got videos on both of them on my channel, and I've mentioned them both in previous lists as well. And I totally forgot to add TV Sports Baseball and boxing. Boxing's okay, I'm not massively into boxing games, so I wasn't particularly worried about that one so much. But TV Sports Baseball I did play a lot when I was younger, and I really enjoyed playing it. As usual, I've dug a magazine review out for you to take a look at, so it's not just myself that is endorsing this game. 88% it scores, if you can see that in the bottom corner. It got 84 for graphics, 88 for sound, 89 for playability, 88 for lastability, and overall 88%. And the final verdict on it, I'll read a little bit for you. At first, the computer player will walk all over you, mainly because batting's difficult and takes a while to get used to. But once those skills have been acquired, TV Sports Baseball is a tremendous laugh, particularly against another human opponent. Yep, it's a good two-player game, I can confirm that. The management element is thankfully unobtrusive and only needs to be tampered with if you want to experiment. Graphically, it's better than its nearest rival RBI2. Cinema Wii is the same technique of videotaping real players, and the results here are more realistic. And the profusion of sampled sound is admirable. All sports fans, not just those interested in baseball, should check this out. And yes, it's very fun, I can definitely confirm. I used to play this. Me and my brother, we didn't like so much playing the games against each other. We preferred to be on the same team. We used to team up on a lot of sports games. So that's what we do this one, just take a batter each and have a go, or we'd have a batter each on pitching, and then we'd just shove the controller to each other. So you can play it that way. Or you can play it two players. It's fun. Also, obviously, you can play one player against the computer if you're by yourself. Good fun baseball game. Definitely play this 100% if you're into baseball, without a doubt. But even if you're not, and you just like sports games, in general, give it a shout because it's a lot of fun, and I think you'll find it very worthwhile. So good game and worth adding to your list. Okay, next we have a pinball game. Another one, Slam Tilt. It's a really, really good pinball game. And this review is pretty good because it reviews all the tables. You get 4 tables with the game itself, and it's got a separate review for each table. I'm not going to read them all out, obviously. You get a Pirates table, a Knight of Demons table, Ace of Space, and Mean Machines. And it looks like they prefer the Ace of Space table, which I must agree was probably my favourite too. Knight of Demons also gets a good marks. Mean Machines, then Pirates, but no table scores less than 87%, and the overall verdict of the game is 93%. 9 for graphics, 9 for sound, 9 for addiction, 9 for playability. So there you go. A ringing endorsement. Publisher 21st Century. Let's have a little look on the review. I'm trying to separate the review from the tables, because we don't just want to see what the tables say. It says, finally there's a Amiga pinball game that has broken the mould. Until now, flipper games have been either perfect scrolling, good looking, or ultimately boring reproductions of the real thing. Or they've been quirky, curious things, or they've been crap. Thomas Tank Engine. Okay, fair enough. Actually, there's a 4th category for surreal French pinball games. It has 1 entry, Ultimate Pinball Quest. And do you know something? For years, people have chose silver balls and flippers as their favourite stimulant. Been muttering, why can't they get it right? What we want is a real Amiga pinball game that doesn't try to replace the real thing, but develops it. We want sub-games, video sequences, and loads of top technical trickery. And they claim this one has it. So I'm not going to read the whole thing because this is a long-winded review, to say the least. But yes, you can see the marks here. Well, this is obviously an Amiga format, as you can see it's Amiga Gold format is on this one. And yeah, let me know in the comments if you played this before. I hadn't actually played it until I added it to the Mini. One thing I would recommend though is to redefine the controls. So go into the menu and set some of the keyboard keys to your controller, because otherwise you're going to have to plug a USB keyboard in, and because obviously you couldn't use the virtual keyboard to play this game, it would be impossible. So I'd say the keys you need to remember are F1, select single player, and return, which starts the ball, sets the ball in motion. Left alt and right alt are the 2 flippers. I mean, me personally, I use the 4 button keys, the main buttons to do F1, return, left alt, right alt, depending on your preferences. But I also redefined the two shoulder buttons as well as left alt and right alt, just so you've got two alternatives. And they're the ones I use mostly for the flippers, is the two shoulder buttons. I use a PS4 controller, like not the, as I said previously, not the gamepad. So that's what I did, and yeah, it made it a very fun game. And you know, obviously you can do what you want. You can plug a USB keyboard in if that's the way you prefer to play it. But if you do use a controller, I would suggest doing that. You know, if you prefer, and then you're set to go. As far as I know, it saves all the configuration and everything, so you don't have to do it every time you play it. And had a lot of fun playing this game, so definitely worth adding to your list, I would say. Okay, next up we have like a public domain game. This is from the PD Zone in this magazine I'm going to show you in a minute. It's Deluxe Galaga. Now, Galaga is obviously a classic arcade game. I wouldn't say Space Invaders, but it's of that ilk, obviously, you know, it's of that generation. And yeah, this game is like a very faithful adaptation. Let's go straight to the review and have a little look here. I'm going to go straight down to the bottom. This is obviously an updated version. I don't know what the recent version of this game is. I can't actually remember the version I put on my Mini, so I do apologise for that. But this says there's been a few changes, the graphical changes to the game for the original version, but these are few and far between and don't really make any odds to the game. Presentations were slightly improved, clearer stats paneling and scoreboarding. This remains one of the most impressive PD games ever, and having played two-player games with most of the people in the office, the general opinion is this should be a full price game. Snap this up because I guarantee you won't be disappointed in any way whatsoever. And this has got 95% in this magazine, which yeah, it's, if you're a fan of the original games, which a lot of people do love Galaga. I mean, I think I've still got I have got a version of this on my PlayStation 5 from the PS4 days when they did the arcade games on the PS4, but I just thought it would be fun to see it on the Amiga, and I heard good things about this. Somebody actually recommended this game to me, and it's good. So if you're a fan of the original game, you definitely can't go wrong with this version. It's a very good version of the game. Here we go. It says one more thing on this review. It says the main difference between this release and the previous Deluxe Galaga offers is that you can now have two-player simultaneous games, which, as you might imagine, are tremendously more fun than single or taking turns variety. So as you can see on the screen, there is a screenshot there of two players playing this game simultaneously. I'm assuming we can do that on here. I'm Billy No Mates when it comes to playing my game, so generally I only play them one player, but yeah, I'm sure there must be an option there then to play two players at the same time, which is amazing really, isn't it, when you think about it. So I'd say as long as you've got a nice big screen to play on, then you can't go wrong with this game if you like a good two-player shooter. And even if you don't, if you like playing by yourself, I can heartily recommend this one. Okay, next we have another platform game called The Misadventures of Flink. This is a CD32 game. It's from Psygnosis, and in this magazine it scored 82%. I can't read you anything of this, the review of this one, however, as the only review I could find was in German. So there we go. That's not going to give you a lot of information, is it? Because trust me, I do not speak German, so I do apologise for that in advance. But I can tell you that this is a very fun platform game though. I had a blast playing it. It's kind of like a chonky graphic version, or some of the stuff you can do on it definitely reminded me a lot of Super Mario. The way you have the map, the 3D map overall, where you can see your progress, and you're ending up jumping on enemies' heads, and that's how you kill them basically. You know, you jump on them once to stun, twice to kill, generally speaking. You've got a variety of enemies that you have to come across, and it's a platform game. You know what you have to do on platform games by now, you know, jumping on top of things and, you know, messing around that way. This game was also available on the Mega Drive, I believe. Maybe, I think it was on the Mega CD. So it's quite a well-known game. So the chances are you may have played this on the Mega Drive before if you haven't played it on here. I believe it was released in '94. I can read you a little quote. This is from giantbomb.com, and they said, "The evil wizard, Wicked Wainwright, has captured 4 elders, and it's up to Flink, a wizard's apprentice, to set them free." So that is the premise of the game. Summed up in a little nutshell there, but as you can see the game going in the background. If this looks like your kind of thing, I would say it's definitely worth a go, and it's a very good platformer. Okay, next up we have Alien Breed Tower Assault, which is the third in the Alien Breed franchise. Like it says this little review here, or little snippet, it says like the first 2 games in the series, it's a sci-fi themed top-down shooter released in 1994 by Team 17. This came out on Amiga, PC and CD32. The CD32 version is interesting. I've gone for the review of the CD32 version, so I can show you what they say about it on here. I've actually been playing the AGA version, which is slightly different, but the CD32 version, which is available on WH Download, so I haven't actually tried it out yet to see if it works properly and if you get all the stuff included in that they say. But the CD32 version had a full motion intro video, and it also included the AGA version of Alien Breed 2, The Horror Continues. So it obviously means you can have all that added on the same WHD load version if you just wanted to like compact what you're putting on your stick. If you wanted like number 2 on there as well, of course. Yeah, I've only been playing the AGA version and it works beautifully and it plays very well, and it is, I think, my favourite of the Alien Breed games that I've played so far. And I think this magazine review here goes as far to agree with me on that one. They give the game overall 90%, and they say a movie and 2 great games a must. Now this is obviously, like I said, the CD32 version, which has the intro movie and obviously the 2 games on it, so that's good value for money. It says here, the intro movie does tend to go on a bit. After you've seen it once or twice, you want to skip past it the first few minutes or so, which contains some stunning atmospheric music as well as a rendered planet and spaceship. Last month we mistakenly quoted the price as Tower Assault floppy disk $29.99. We were wrong, in fact it's $19.99. But this version definitely costs $29.99. Why? Because it's not only got the rendered intro, it's also got Alien Breed 2, but the primary reason for buying this CD still has to be Tower Assault, the last of the Breed series and in many ways the best. It falls in terms of difficulty between the first 2, more so than Breed 1 and less so than Breed 2. Once again, it's a top-down view, shoot 'em up for 1 or 2 players. Graphics have become more detailed and gruesome with each edition of dead and mutilated bodies around the level, hence a voluntary 15 rating. This is the interesting part of this game though. It says other new features include non-linear progression through the game, with Team 17 claiming there are over 270 different ways of completing the game. It's a classic game and a fitting finale to the series. Need I say more? No, go get it. So this differs from the other Alien Breed games in the sense that it has multiple exits for each level. So it makes the whole story overall like a lot more non-linear, and the actual box says 276 possible ways to complete the game. So they've done a bit of calculation for you. I don't think I can confirm or deny whether that's accurate or not, but I'd like to take their word for it. And yeah, I will play the CD32 version at some point. I might even put that on the game picker so I can see if it comes out as a random thing for the channel. So overall, I would definitely recommend adding Alien Breed Tower Assault to your A500 Mini. So next up we have a game that I didn't think I was going to like, called Red Storm Rising, and it is a submarine simulator game basically. And yeah, it didn't seem like anything that will be up my alley, but it actually is a lot of fun. Funny enough, the review is quite amusing actually. It gets 89% overall. It gets 10 for intellect, 8 for addiction, but then graphics 4 and sound 1. So you kind of wonder how it managed to scrape 89%, but that tells you really what you need to know about the gameplay, I guess, doesn't it really, when you think about it. The judgment says in RSR, I'm going to refer to it as RSR, as they do. In RSR, Valor is banished to the brig. Cold-headed actions and cool nerves see you through. It brings the complexities of modern sub-war to the small screen with polish and finesse, if not graphic greatness. RSR is complex enough to challenge, yet structured to allow the player greater freedom as skill develops. Get too cocky by jumping into the deep end on ultimate difficulty level, and your next port of call is Locker 3rd floor Jones D. Okay, there you go. I'm guessing that's Davy Jones. Develop your sub-skills though, and you could blast the pride of the Russian Navy into scrap, unseen and safe. Yes, it is a lot of fun. I always refer to my friends over at Lemon Amiga here, and this has got nothing but praise. It's got 8.8 score, 20 votes, so not too many people voted for it, but it's one of those games I think that went a little bit under the radar for a lot of people. I know there's lots of versions of this though. It did come out on the Commodore 64 amongst other computers at the time, so there may be quite a few of you out there who have played it. Someone on Lemon Amiga says it's the most amazing sub-simulator on the Amiga, which I can't think of too many sub-simulators on the Amiga, to be honest, but they said the game interface is flawless. Never before did the simulation give you such complete control over a submarine. So if this is your bag, then it's definitely worth checking out. I must confess, I do have a bit of trouble sometimes when it comes to simulator games, because if they're going too deep, because sometimes I'm just looking for like a game to play for an hour or something, and I don't really want to sit and learn a load of stuff and a load of controls and everything else. But to be honest, this one was fun enough that it made me learn the systems. And yeah, if you're into this sort of thing, for sure you're going to love it. And if you're not, I recommend you give it a try and see if you like it. Okay, next up we have another platform game. It is Pierre le Chef is Out to Lunch. And this is again another wacky platformer, but I had a blast playing this one. I'm not quite sure even what to compare it to. The people on Lemon Amiga compare it to classics like Bubble Bobble or Pang. Well, that is, it stands in regard of classics, so I'm not sure they're comparing it as such. They're just saying that it was, you know, comparable in terms of a good game. The plot's a little bit wacky, but then I guess you'd expect that, wouldn't you? Let's have a little look at the review so we can talk about it a little bit further. There's the verdict here. It's 88%. It says, with 48 tricky levels and a menacing chef d'oeuvre, it will keep you occupied for weeks. After lunch is hotter than a hot dog, prettier than an angel cake, trickier than a baked Alaska, and deadlier than a salmonella quiche. A mighty fine platform game, 88%. So yeah, it got as many foods in there as possible, didn't they really? Graphics, it got 7, more colours in the greengrocer's shop, cutesy sprites, great parallax scrolling. Sound, only 5, mostly whizzes and boings, but eggs make a lovely cracking noise. Addiction has you screaming, "Come here, stupid tomato," just before you die. Wonderfully frustrating. I don't think I ever screamed that when I was playing it, but you know, you do visit lots of different countries and different sets, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of locations that are really cool and stuff, and obviously, as you'd expect, a lot of food-based collectibles. Look at this example of the review here. It says Pierre can also collect fruit bonuses in every level, and there's a variety of different weapons, including Tabasco sauce, which he can use on ingredients and nasties on each level. So that gives you a kind of idea of what you're dealing with here. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember what version I played. I think it was the AGA version. I really, to be honest, can't remember on this one. I do mix it up a little bit, so I'll try and, if I see the CD32 version, I always try and grab it. I think it was the CD32 version I played of this actually. I believe that both are available on WH Download though. So as I say, follow the links on Lemon Amiga like I always say to you, and you'll find both versions on there. Grab whichever one floats your boat really. I don't think there's a lot of difference between the two, looking at the reviews and everything, so I would heartily recommend this if you're, especially if you're into like, you know, a bit of globe trotting, and obviously the food puns that you get on these games are great. But if you just like a good platform game, also recommend this one. Okay, next up we have Jungle Strike, which is the sequel to Desert Strike, which was on one of my other lists. And this is a great game. Well, Desert Strike was. This isn't as good as Desert Strike in my opinion, which I really loved, and I loved that enough to put it on one of my very early lists. I think it might have been the second list of 25 games that I put to go onto the Mini. It may not have been on that one. I've done a few, so you know, I could be misremembering that, but it was definitely on one of my lists. I know that. I do love Desert Strike. Jungle Strike, I never actually played on the Amiga, which is why I never added it as such, because I think it's on my Sega Mega Drive Mini, because I played it more on the Mega Drive. I thought I'd add the AGA version. There is a CD32 version for this as well. I added the AGA version to the Mini, and it's brilliant. I've been enjoying it. It's, like I said, not as good as Desert Strike in my opinion, but still, you know, it maintains that fun element that came with the first one. It gets 85% from this magazine, which I'm not sure which one I chose for this. It's looking like it might be Amiga format. I'm really not sure which one I picked. I've started zooming the reviews in a little bit more so you can see the details, so I've kind of cut off the headings as such, so we can make more room for the good stuff. There you go. Despite the praise heaped on the Amiga version of Desert Strike, I disliked it because of the hideous loading times and garish graphics, which did the Amiga no justice. Well, I don't agree with that. I liked Desert Strike, but there you go. Each to their own, I guess. Thankfully, both of these problems were rectified with Jungle Strike, and the result is a much more polished title that retains the excellent playability of the console original. Okay, so they've got a different opinion from me. This is certainly a difficult game, far more so than Desert Strike, but there are certain tricks that we learn from repeated playing. For example, it's possible to hide behind scenery objects and let them take the flak while you dodge around and destroy the enemy. It doesn't take a genius to work out how to approach each mission. It's refreshing change to have to think in a format as familiar as to shoot 'em up, and this blend of shooting and thinking action blends together seamlessly, and in the process creates a classic blaster well worth a ride. Okay, so they rate this bit better than Desert Strike. I personally didn't, but as we say, to each their own. I would definitely say though, if you're a fan of Desert Strike, you're going to get a lot out of this. This was the second. I believe there were probably 4 games. I know you've at least got Urban Strike, which was released. I'm sure there was a Soviet Strike game as well. I think they came on different formats. There might have even been a Nuclear Strike if I remember. I'm pretty sure there was. But I don't think, I've not played Urban Strike or Soviet Strike or Nuclear Strike, if that even exists. I'm pretty sure it does. I vaguely remember that in my head. But I did play Desert Strike at the time, and I remember playing Jungle Strike, like I said, on the Mega Drive, and this is a faithful adaptation of that game. I believe this was converted. I think that the Mega Drive version was the one that came out first. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, this is a great version of this game. As someone who's played the Mega Drive version, I can heartily recommend this, and definitely worth adding to the Mini. Okay, next up we have Fighting Spirit by Neo Productions. So this came out in '96, I believe, and it was a Street Fighter clone according to this magazine here. Pretty much is a Street Fighter clone, I can confirm that. I did have Street Fighter 2. I wasn't ever the biggest fan of beat 'em ups on any computer really or console, but I had a few, and Street Fighter 2 I definitely had on the Amiga, and I really liked it, so thought I'd give this a go because I'd heard good things. I played the AGA version. There is a CD32 version available on WH Download, so you can try that out if you want to. I don't know why, I just went for the AGA version. This is the one I had been reading the reviews on Lemon Amiga again. It scores 8.3 on there, and on the magazine we're looking at here, it scores 83%, so yeah, 8.3 again. So, you know, technically it's the same thing. Graphics, we got 80, sound 70, lastability 80, playability 85, which obviously is the most important thing. I'll read the verdict as I always do. It says, overall, Fighting Spirit is a decent fighting game and the best SF clone I've seen on the Amiga. Character control is good, and the special moves are easy enough to master. I had some problems with the game crashing, but programmers assured me that this was due to my disc being faulty. I would have given it a higher mark, but the price was a bit more in line with standard Amiga games. Those looking for a Street Fighter clone on the Amiga should look here first. I haven't had any problems with crashing so far, so maybe the company was right there, and maybe it was his disc version. I don't know, it's the kind of thing that they would probably say if they wanted to dodge the issue, I suppose. But it's a good fun game. The graphics are very nice, as you'd probably expect from an AGA or CD32 game. Very colourful, huge like sprites and characters. And if you're into Street Fighter, you've got nothing to lose. And if you're not, and you just like a good beat 'em up, definitely add this to your Mini. And finally on the list we have Dynablaster, or as it's known most other places, Bomberman. Apparently, according to Wikipedia, so again I don't know if this is 100% verified because obviously people can change things on there, can't they, to suit their own narrative, but apparently Dynablaster was the name given to European versions of Bomberman, and they changed that due to the terrorism implication of bomber. So, you know, I don't know if that's true or not, but it seems like something that would happen in a lot of these certification places, doesn't it? But I've played this game and I can confirm it plays exactly like Bomberman, so I'm assuming it probably is Bomberman. If you've ever played it before, a wonderfully fun game, good single player game, mentally fun 5-player game, which if you've got lots of people, I don't know if it'll be capable of playing that many people on the Commodore Amiga. I've only played single player, but I mean, if you could, it would be an absolute blast, if you'll pardon the pun, wouldn't it? Let's read some of the review here. It says there are two styles of game within Dynablaster. The first is one-player option, sees you fighting through labyrinths of rooms in a castle in order to rescue a princess from the clutches of an evil wizard. Each room filled with a varying number of monsters that must be destroyed as the time expires. Battle mode picks up to 5 players, 4 using joysticks and via a special adapter. The last on the keyboard against each other in a spectacle of complete chaos. The last surviving bomber is the victor, and Bomberman champion can be found over a series of games. So there you go. The overall verdict is 93% this scores, 85 for graphics, 85 for sound. It says the simplest of games are often the best. This is definitely the case with Dynablaster. On paper everything looks straightforward and, to be honest, rather dull. However, once you get into the frantic action, you just can't stop playing. Puzzle and arcade elements have been combined extremely well to produce a game that will be liked by absolutely everybody. If you are thinking that the price tag is on the steep side, well, we don't have to worry about that. Remember that you do get a joystick adapter which acts as a security dongle as well, thrown in with the package. Okay, also it was another dongle game from back in the day. If you've ever played Bomberman, you know how good they are, how much fun. Fairly simple, like premise, but addictive, which is basically what it's saying in the review. I don't know about the multiplayer on the A500 Mini. Maybe if someone's played it multiplayer, they can confirm that. But definitely worth your time. And if you are a fan of Bomberman, of course, it is Bomberman. So don't be fooled by the name, which, you know, you can be with these ones that get renamed, can't you? It's I actually, when I put it on the system, I didn't have a clue it was Bomberman. Someone recommended it to me, said Dynablaster is awesome, you've got to check that out. So I did, and as soon as I started playing it, I was like, this is Bomberman, isn't it? And I did not know the specifications until I looked it up, the reasons why the name had been changed. But You know, seems like the sort of thing they would do in this country, you know, and don't be fooled. It's Bomberman basically, and it's just as much fun as all the other ones, and it's an absolute riot. So definitely I would say add it, especially if you want to play some multiplayer, and I would love to know in the comments if anyone has played this multiplayer, because that would be really cool. Okay, so there you have it, another 10 games, the 10 games I've most recently added to my A500 Mini. I hope you enjoyed the countdown. Let me know in the comments if you've added any of these games, and let me know if there's any hidden gems out there that you're still adding that I haven't mentioned. I would love to know. I would love to check out a few more games, and maybe I'll put another subscriber list together so that, you know, we can talk about a few of your suggestions. That would be great. I already did one of those earlier on my channel. If you haven't checked out the previous lists, go over them and have a look if you would. That would be great. If you're new to the channel, please don't forget to subscribe before you leave, and like the video if you've liked it. Any comments below, obviously, leave them and I will read them all and try and get back to every comment if I can. If I do forget sometimes, it's just that, you know, there's a volume sometimes to go through. And not only that, but YouTube doesn't always give you every notification. Like if I reply to you and you reply back, sometimes YouTube will not tell me that you've replied. So, you know, don't be offended if I don't return a comment. It's just the way YouTube works, you know what it's like. Okay guys, thanks so much. Take care. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.